starting with awareness, right? So knowing exactly like what is it that's happening right now? What do I want to change? Like what are my strengths? What are my values? What are my weaknesses? What are different emotions that keep on coming up for me repeatedly that I haven't taken action on? I think raising that awareness to fully understand this is where I'm at right now before even taking action. Because when we take action and we're not clear on what is it, where I'm coming from, it creates this like bigger gap because now you're moving down the path that
Hello, Rasie. How are you doing?
I'm good, you're here. Oh, what were you doing? How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm really happy with the opportunity that we actually get to talk. We try to, make this work sometime. I know you have great wisdom to give and, great nuggets that people can take from and help them with their life. And, as we spoke before, each person is unique. Each person has their mission, their life, but the wisdom, I believe, each person has someone different, but we could take from each person also something and build it into our own path. So I don't want to talk too much. I just want to dive, just dive inside and ask a question. And then, of course, also you'll expand more about how and what you do it. But in today's world, I think different than like 100 years ago, you'll ask
Yes.
people about like, you want to have an impact on the world, meaning maybe some, yeah, but like it wasn't, I don't feel it was that much out there today. Everyone, they want to feel that they're connected, that they're doing something, they want to have an impact. And at the same time, we also feel that there's so much things going inside. Like, mental health became like this huge thing today. So
Mm-hmm,
two of
mm-hmm.
these things that from one we want to have that impact. Maybe that has to do with the mental health. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll talk about that. But how does someone find first, I think before the impact, how do they find like what is inside them that they need to heal? And I think it's an ongoing process in order to create that impact that they want to have on the world. And of course, I would like to hear more from your experience because you have much more experience than me.
I don't know about more different, yes, probably. Um, but it's for me personally, like in my journey, it's really deciding what I want, right? So if like when I decided this is what impact I want to make in the world, and like I say this quite often, and I actually have it on my mirror right now. It's like every different level in my life will require a different me. So that means that I got to keep going inwards and do that work. So maybe I'll give an example, like with when I started my business in leadership coaching. It took me failing at one business and then taking about a month to really reflect on what did I learn from this experience here. I worked on this business idea for about 6 years and I was about to press start, and everything happens for a reason. And then going inward and doing that work of self-discovery and really identifying like what is it that I love to do, what do I need, and what does this world need? Like how can I make my own contribution intentionally and do it consciously, right? So that's when I went back to leadership, and I was like, I've always loved leading teams. I've always loved creating, right? Like that entrepreneurship mindset. I've always loved helping people reach their potential. Now I can do it at a larger scale. Like, how do I go about that? And it's a lot of like going inwards and doing the work that I need to do, listening to what my body is saying, listening to what thoughts are coming up. Like, how do I unlearn and learn and reframe many different things so that I can step into that next level of and being a different me, like each time I step into each level. I'll pause there.
Wow. I think you said, I don't think everything you said was beautiful, but I really connected to something that you said at the beginning. Two things. Number one is that, in each level, you need to be someone else in order to serve that at that level at the best. I'll say this in my words. You could change it, but and I think that that's something that is just worth to pause on for a second because many times in life, we try to get like we get to that next phase, but we use the tools from the other phase, and then we don't understand why it doesn't work. And I think acknowledging that what you said is so, so, so crucial, because it's understanding, okay, what you did until now, work with these tools, amazing, great, but no more. And
Mhm.
understanding that when we see our unique gift, and we always, we go up in the ladder, so we need to it's the same us, but it's a part of us that we didn't discover. And I think the reason it's so important is you need to make that decision. That's going to the second thing, because when you understand that, you can make that decision of, okay, I use these tools until now. I have another part of me, of EA, of Rasie, or someone else that is waiting to be unfold. Now let's
Mhm.
go and discover it. So I think understanding that is so crucial. But it's nice for me, when we sit here and it's nice weather outside, it's all good saying it. My question is, how do people actually do that shift? Okay, moving, because you work with many people, moving from
Mhm.
where they are right now to where they want to be. Because it sounds like it has to be honest, it sounds like there's a lot of self like leadership over there, that the person needs to lead himself from A to B, maybe with hope and everything, you help people, but there are
Mhm.
things that some people might say, no, it's not for me. It's maybe other people, but I think it's for everyone. So how does someone lead himself from point A to point B? What are the tools that actually do, and what also stops them? Because you see many people, I
Mhm.
wonder what it is.
Yeah, that answer is like it's a whole hour of speech for me to like cover that, but I'll definitely share like some key elements that this is something that I teach, train leaders on, coach them through, and also do consultant.
Your books.
And yes, and my books, yeah, definitely. And it's starting with awareness, right? So knowing exactly like what is it that's happening right now? What do I want to change? Like what are my strengths? What are my values? What are my weaknesses? What are different emotions that keep on coming up for me repeatedly that I haven't taken action on? I think raising that awareness to fully understand this is where I'm at right now before even taking action. Because when we take action and we're not clear on what is it, where I'm coming from, it creates this like bigger gap because now you're moving down the path that isn't for you, right? Because I'm not fully aware of like what's happening, right? Like in this environment of me, like myself, like on the inside. And with that awareness, it's super important to know our why. Like why do I want to do this so badly? Right. So I'll give an example with the authors that I support with writing and publishing their books on Amazon. It's why do I need to write my book? Like they need to be so clear on that, and they need to be able to communicate that with me so that I'm able to support them through. But when I get on discovery calls with potential clients, who are experienced writers and they're not very clear on their why, I give them like a homework to go and do, and then they can come back and have that conversation. But I think when it comes with awareness and knowing a why, that creates clarity in like where are we coming from before we even start talking about like the process or where we're heading, where the goals.
Yeah, that. But I'm trying to understand something about that why. I totally connect to the why part. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
understand, many times, like, we'll feel that there are things that kind of that are holding us back, and then like there'll be all kind of like things that cover the why.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
how do you help people like cover that why? Because I think when someone does discover that why, we talk a lot about accountability in this world, and I
mhm,
think when someone discovers that why, so first that means, and you'll talk about that in a second, that they had to go deep inside in order to really understand what it is that is driving. Because usually the first answer is not the real why, and
mhm,
and
mhm,
then when you get to like all the way in there, so I think there's some type of like I don't want to say like accountability, but like you don't need someone else to hold you accountable. You have that why. Okay, this is why I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing, and that helps you accountable, and also later on in the action steps. But what I wonder is how do you get to that real why? Because some
mhm,
people will get stuck there. I think most people.
mhm.
Also, whoever thinks that the real why comes up in a second, usually there's something behind that why, that's the real why.
Yeah, and as you say, like there's why like layered, and there's why to get to that root. And then there's the other factor where our why is usually something that we've been through, and we want to help other people not to experience it in the way that we've experienced it, right? And when I speak specifically to my why, it's breaking the cycle, right? So in my family, the generational aspect, the culture, it's for the first part I can think of in terms of leadership, because there's so many things that are connected to this why. With leadership, it's how do I start with myself? There's what I've experienced, and in growing up, it's kind of there's a lot of do as I say, not as I do. And it's
Mm.
time for us to unlearn that and really do better, right? And do better in a sense of not just when people are watching, or when we're in certain environment, but really taking responsibility of this is how I'm going to show up for me, and this is going to translate in how I show up for others. It is so important for us to start with self. And the second part for me, and this is in relative to like my second book, Heal on Your Terms. My first book is Lead in Your Truth. And it's like the way it's always been for how people grieve, right? And it's usually people who haven't gone through that heaviness of pain are usually the ones telling people like this is how you should be grieving. Or people who have gone through a whole other level of pain, they haven't dealt with that, and then they project that those emotions that are feeling onto others who are grieving. So, and that's why I emphasize the importance of healing on your terms. And I share that in my book of how I did it for myself. Took a lot of courage, a lot of therapy, a lot of shifting myself outside of that comfort zone. We talked about this a little bit. You're here. It's like this has worked for me, like over here. Now it's not going to work over here. How do I make that shift, right? How do I go through this transformation that this opportunity has landed for me, right?
Yeah.
And so the what I would say is going back to the roots, right? Like what has happened in my life, and where am I from? And because it's all our why is rooted in there. I'll have mornings where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like getting up today, right? And
Okay.
then my why kicks in. Like there's a reminder, girl, we are breaking a cycle here. We are shifting like different things and making it possible for more people to do things on their own terms, to heal on their own terms, to start with self leadership. So I got to get up and do that work, even if I don't feel like it, because my why is bigger than who I am as a person.
It's so, and like I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's so strong because before I was had an interview with someone else, and we spoke about if we don't do that inner work, okay, that inner healing, even if we have someone holding us accountable and saying, "Come on, go on, go move forward," eventually it just you'll cut that person out of your life. And I'm so thrilled and happy to hear you also saying that first we need to do that inner work of like who we are, why are we doing whatever it is that we do. And I think that also has to do with the healing, because
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
many times that would answer different things in life that or it would answer them. One would say like, that doesn't really matter. It's not really in this category with the why. And it would also give us the drive and the accountability that we have for ourselves to actually bring that why to the world. So, in your case, all the beautiful work that you do. And I think it's something that is so, so crucial. But
Yes.
with all that said, we do live in 2023. Welcome.
Mhm.
If
Thank you.
someone's listening to this in a different time, all good. But like technology is something that is like so like you can't run away. Like it's so powerful and it's here. I personally don't like it that much. I know there's a lot of
Mhm.
beauty in it and it helps. And we're talking right now. uh,
Yes.
that that
Across
that
the
that's
world.
Yeah, and we're totally different. So technology has a beautiful things in it, but there's also something that I think brings a lot of destruction when it comes to technology, and it's one word, which is comparisons. So we always
Mm,
compare ourselves to someone else. So
hmm.
how does someone bring out their impact? Because you talk about a lot about, you know, self terms. You talk a lot about the unique gift and beauty that the person has in themselves, whether it's through leadership, healing, whatever it is. And I'm trying to understand, and I totally connect to that. But let's be for a second realistic. Also, when we try to get to that why and try to hit on our terms, and we do all that, we see this post, we see that tag, we have all this noise, like we're just going like crazy, and it's hardest to focus. So how with all of that noise from the outside and like comparing ourselves to others, how do we still go on that path of hitting ourselves and having the impact that we're supposed to have on the world, not based on something we think someone else thinks we need to have? Both of those thoughts might be wrong.
Yeah, there's questions that come up, right? And this is actually a conversation that I've had many times with like different clients who I work with. And the first question that comes up is it true? Like what we're seeing on, either it's like social media or in person. And when I say is it true, is in terms of do I know the full story of what this person is, what is happening for this person? And if I don't know the full story of like, this is how it started, this is their level of success, and these are different things that they do, this is their story before they even got here. If I don't know the full story, I have no right to compare. That's how I look at it. And there's like that very famous quote of Theodore Roosevelt, right? Like comparison is a thief of joy. And when I see that quote and when I keep that in mind, I not just the joy aspect, but I think it steals away our opportunity to heal what's in here, what needs to be healed, right?
Hi, I hope this video is serving you. I just want to share with you that my belief in life is that you are here to serve a purpose greater than yourself. But in order to do that the best way, you must start with investing in yourself. Enjoy the rest of the video.
So an example where, sometimes, and this happens actually quite a bit in my culture, it's that I am going through this really tough time in my life, and the other person, a way of them comforting me is telling me that, oh, maybe, okay, let's say for example, I just my husband passed, right? Like he did in 2018, and I'm having a conversation with someone else in my family, and they say to me in a way of comforting, and this is what they know best, is, oh, do you have you heard about that family, like that daughter that lost like her whole family on a boat or on a plane? And and then what happens there is it puts my healing on pause, because now I'm comparing like, oh, I don't have it that bad, I'm going to be okay. And then we're making that, like, I'm making that shift away from what needs to be felt, because now I'm comparing, right?
Hmm.
So unless I know the full story of what that person is going through, I'm right there with them. I have no right to compare. And even if I do know the full story, I can hold space for that person. I can empathize. At the same time, I got to come back in and do that work for myself. And there's so many different signs that are always showing up for us, right? Either it's, I know for me, like I get triggered each time like someone that's close to me loses somebody. Like I get triggered. I go back to like what the unresolved grief that I need to feel and I need to face, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like I've made that decision. I'm going to feel, and then I'm going to keep moving. So I think it's thinking, okay, like what, and actually the third part I'll talk about is like the intention, right? If I'm comparing myself to these people, what is the intention here? What is it that what am I trying to get out of this, right?
Right.
And is it to make myself feel less than, or is it to empower myself? Because the comparison doesn't help empower ourselves. So So it's like asking those questions, like, what am I seeing? Is it true? Is it, do I know the full story? And what is it that I want out of this comparison?
100%. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think we ever know the full story. Like, I'm not sure the person themselves knows the full
Yeah.
story. So, like, it's like, we're always like in this work and discovery, but like on ourselves. So I don't think anyone from the outside knows the full story. So I think we could just put comparison aside, and I really love also what you end with, like, I'll say maybe like in a different way, but like what's the intention? How is it serving me? So,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
is it serving, like you said, your why, right? So you mentioned Rasie, the why. So is this comparison serving my why? Yes or no? Yes. So let's take it from the positive side. Sometimes also from the dark, but 99% from the positive.
Yeah.
And if no, so why? Like, we
Yeah.
said that the why has so much power in it, like to help us, not only push forward and go through those challenging times, but also see the beauty that is there. It's not all about, push forward, challenge, push forward. It's also about seeing the beauty. So if it doesn't serve us, so there's no reason for it. But I think learning is something else. So my
Mhm.
grandmother always tells me, you always learn from everyone. From some, you learn what not to do, and from
Yes.
some you learn what to do. So learning, beautiful, amazing, but comparing, like, I also believe that we're a spiritual being having a human experience. So there's so much more than this
Mhm.
time here right now. So, like, we really can't compare because we have, at least I'll talk about myself, no
Yeah.
clue what's going on. Like, and like there's so much like that I don't know. So I'll lie if I say that sometimes comparison doesn't come to my mind. Yeah, I'll for sure lie, especially
Mhm.
when in the dating world. So, like, I was thinking, I'm not comparing good or bad because that's not my job. That's his job. But, like, better, not better. So I'm also working on myself on that. But I always try to remind myself that comparison is basically a bridge towards destruction. Learning,
Mhm.
it's a way for growth. It's a stepping stone. So I really love what you said over there at the end about, like the intention behind it. Uh,
Mhm.
I want, you spoke over here about, the decision you started. I really connected to that, the decision and the understanding that, each phase in life, we are still us, but we're a different phase of us, and that's why we're using different tools, no comparison. And you mentioned a few other things. What are other tools? First, I'll say, for the healing part that people could do to heal themselves, because we all go through challenges in life. And then after we do that, we also want to talk maybe about some, like, how after we heal ourselves, we could also tap into our beauty and make more of an impact on the world, our unique impact.
Mhm. Yeah, it's first is making the decision, like you said, right? It's making the decision to heal, right? And for me, I suppressed like feelings for so long, right? And I remember even times in regards to joy and laughing out loud, like I actually would tone it down because of how people felt or what people said, and because I made them feel uncomfortable. But I had to start with the decision that I need to heal, and I need to stop caring about what other people think, right? And it's a lot of coming back to myself. And again, it's the intention. Like, I want to live a very full life. I want to experience all the things that I want and need to experience. Like, like you say, we're spiritual beings, like having this like human experience, right? And so that's like the first thing, is making that decision. And the next thing is like the who, what, and when, right? When do I want to? And this is like even with all my clients I work with, either it's like leadership or book coaching. It's when do you want to get there? Like, you need to set that goal. Like, what does it look like when I'm there?
Hmm.
And who and what is going to help me get there? So in my case, it was therapy, right? Like working with my counselor, working with coaches, and going into group therapy, because that's the who that I needed to help me get through. And then the what is where, in 2019, I read 11 grief books intentionally. because I want to move through this pain that I'm in. And at the same time, I want to remember how I got through it. It was super important that I do it consciously and allowing myself to feel it so that I can heal it. And knowing that I'm very supported and I have people around me who will hold space for me, right? And this is something that I elaborate on a lot in my book Heal on Your Terms, is knowing the people that are around you, like who is feeding your energy and who is sucking away your energy, and making that decision that this is the person that I need in my life, and this is the person that we just need to let go of for just for now, right? Like relationship, like you come back around to those people. Like like people in high school that I didn't hang out with, like I hang out with now. It's just a time and place, right? And understanding like this is what I need so that I can go through this. So I think, decision, the actions that need to happen, and the who's going to help you there when it comes to healing. And with finding our beauty, oh my gosh, like healing, like observe me that. Like I look in the mirror, I love everything and everything about me. And when I reflect back, like the different steps that I took, it's really writing down, and this is something that I teach in one of my workshops, and it's writing down all the things I like about myself, all the things I don't like about myself, all the things that people say about me, and all the things that I wish people say about me that they're not saying.
Will say.
And yeah, so the things that I like about myself, I don't like, the things that people are saying, and the things that I wish they would say that they're not saying. And really embracing that. Because guess what? That's what reality is. And then I can take action from there for me on my personal end. And knowing that I am where I am, I can change my behaviors, and I can embrace every part of me, and how much the love that I give to myself, that's how I'm going to show up in the world. And it kind of, it's kind of like air, right? Like that good air, like it just flows onto others. And people feel that when you walk into a room. People feel that when you're like across from them. It's very contagious. Like when we start with healing ourselves and loving ourselves and embracing all that we are.
Wow. That's so powerful about all of it, the loving part. I think it's so crucial, and I can say especially about myself. Some people like used to see me like sometimes not tough with people, but like on myself, like as a tough guy, and like love, like self-love and all that was like just I'll be there for other people, and just throw that out the window. Today I'm in a different place. I'm a big believer in that, because and it all actually happened with one ex-girlfriend of mine, beautiful human being. And we spoke about that like I'm always there for other people, but one of the things that was stopping me for years, they were able to connect to me, but I wasn't really able to really deeply connect to them. And we spoke, I forgot from where she brought that, we learned that you can only connect to someone to the level that you're connected to yourself. And when you don't really, like you said it just a second ago, Rasie, you said only when you really love yourself, so you could bring more of the beauty that you have in yourself out to the world, first to yourself and then outside. So I really connect to what you said. And I think there's even something more important, because when you said, Rasie, before about about a lot of having our own unique gifts and going through our own terms of healing and giving our own gifts, so someone could hear this and say, wait, that means I'm here alone, like everything I need to do alone. But then you said something really important. You said, yes, you make that decision to heal. You need to make that. No one will make that for you, because if someone will make it for you, that won't stay. You make that decision. But after that, you said you went to therapy, like, we all, or, I went to like, there are people there to serve us and help us through the path. So yeah. I love how you kind of broke it into two, that, okay, we need to take the responsibility on ourselves. We need to do that work. We need to make that decision. And then don't worry, there'll be people that we could merge, and they'll help us in the path and and basically see all the beauty that is in us. So to whoever out there that is thinking like, it's only me, it's yeah, take responsibility. Like don't point your finger outside, because that
Yeah,
won't get you
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there are
It's
people like you, Rasie, like much other people that could really hope and be a bridge to that beauty that is in them. I want, like, you gave over here a lot of tools, and I always believe that, you know, it's easy to say, oh, I want to go do A, B, C, D, but that usually won't happen. So I personally recommend to start with one thing. And if we could also talk on the healing part and also on the impact part, what is like the one main action step that someone could do in order to, like, to start the heal process? And then when they move into that impact, and I think it comes together. It's not like, okay, I finished, I graduated here, now I'm here, because it's always working together at the same time. But then another action step that, you know, someone can take, the first one over there, in that impact that they want to have on the world, and basically serve through the beauty that they have in them.
mm-hmm. The one thing that comes to mind is looking around and seeing like what is it, what's the opportunity here, right? For me to take this next step to heal. What is impacted with me staying in the same place? Who am I impacting in staying in the same place? Right? So sometimes that the person or thing on the other side of us usually can be the motivator for us to like make that shift, right?
Our future self, you mean?
Pardon?
Does that mean like our future self? What do you mean the other side of us?
So like so looking on the outside of us, like who am I impacting and what am I impacting can be that motivating factor for us to go
Got it.
inward
Okay.
and do that work of healing. But I'm gonna bring it back to that decision and awareness, like really understanding like where am I at and what is my intention here? Like what do I want from this? And for me, it's visualizing what that future looks like. It's a big thing that helps me, like painting a picture. So like sometimes I'll so for example, right now I have like this is not relative to healing, but it's kind of like the things that I want. So I love being by the water. I love rocks like on the beach, right? And I have this picture of a home and there's like rocks around it because that's like my future home, right? So I put that on my fridge and I see it every single day. And it's not something that I'm like, oh, I want to be there right now. That's like my long-term goal in 10 years. I could be chilling there and writing and coaching and doing speaking from like that space. But visualization is like a beautiful tool to use to get to that. And so the one step I would say with everything we've talked about today, you're here, there's a lot to take away, right?
For sure.
And one thing I would say to our audience listening right now is really write down what is in alignment with where you're at and where you want to be. And then implement those actions, right? It's super important that it's in alignment with your why, your values, and where you're heading. It is so important because everything I've shared, I know it doesn't work for everybody, but are things that you can take that are relative to like where you're at right now. And the goal is to like just do that one thing that just moves the needle.
Nice. I really connect to that. And I'll ask another one question, because like you said, there is you know, by the way, when someone always, like when someone asks me what's the one, or you also asked me like, before, I always go for more than one. People don't always like that, but I asked the one question anyway. As we said, like investing in ourselves is, the way I see it, is the purpose of it is basically to see more of the beauty that is in ourselves and then serve a purpose that is greater than ourselves. But investing in ourselves could be in many different elements, like we also speak on this channel. But what do you think is the main investment someone should do in themselves?
The mind. Definitely the mind. It is so powerful. So powerful. It could literally take you from point A to Z or Z to A, like in seconds, right? And I'll give an example. Like I had this moment, it was 2 Fridays ago. I woke up and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm really not feeling like my run. I run once a week, and usually it's on Fridays. And do you run too? You here?
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Oh, such a great release. Um, and I said to myself, like, oh, I'm just gonna do yoga. I'm just gonna stretch. Let's go easy today. And that was like just like the thoughts that are not productive at all that are having this conversation in my brain, right? In my mind. And then instantly I'm like, okay, let's reward this. We're gonna run, we're gonna come back and do yoga, and we're gonna stretch, right? And because I'm in control of that, like I know what other those thoughts are feeding. It's like the other side of me that wants to just like chill, even though I know how much I need this run. So then I start listing all the benefits. Like I have 6 meetings today. This is gonna sustain me, right? And I'm going to build this momentum. It's going to feed my energy. It's going to make me feel good, like after I'm done running, and feel unstoppable. So it's, yeah, like definitely the mind. And either it's like books that we're reading and we're applying that knowledge that we're consuming, we're converting that into action, or it's like you said with learning, like learning from other people. A big thing for me is like listening to other people's stories. I'm very, very curious of how people get to where they are and what different things have happened in their stories, and learning from that and really being a better human because I've been gifted with this story. And that's probably why I'm like, so I love helping authors write and publish their books, because that story needs to be told. It gives people hope. But definitely doing that work on the mindset for sure.
Amazing. I really connect to that mindset part, and mindset can mean many different things, but you gave here some examples. I think also only about what does that mean to work on the mindset. You could talk now for a few hours, but
Yeah, we could go on for a while.
yeah, so that's a different one. But we got the just the idea, and I really connect to that. I know you really know also through your books and also through your coaching, you really help people go on their path and heal themselves and basically bring the impact that they have in them out to the world. So how can people find you? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, if you go to www.rasiebjc.com, so that's Rasie, so my first name, bjc.com. I have all my social handles at the top right corner of my website. You can connect with me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we can like have a conversation. I am here for the conversations. Tell me a story, tell me something that I don't know about you. And yeah, so definitely like through my website. So I do leadership coaching of helping corporate leaders lead their teams more effectively through self-leadership. And I support experienced writers who become authors in writing and telling their story through book writing.
Beautiful.
And I do a lot of speaking as well. And yeah, here, thank you so much for having me. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
For sure. It's my pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. Thank you very much for all the great value. I really appreciate you for that. And as we said, there are many nuggets that each one of them can really help. But in order for them to really help, I think it's better to focus to start with one, see how it comes. Like you said, how does it right now come into my life, this situation? How does that nugget, how does that help me? And then from there, move to the rest. So thank you very much, Rasie. I really appreciate your time, your wisdom. It was amazing. And thank you for everything.
Thank you, here.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. For us to help other people, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that the most amazing things in life are the one you take for granted.